The call came as Leo was drowning in a sea of calculus equations, the numbers blurring under the fluorescent light of his dorm room. It was one of Caleb's friends, his voice strained over the distant clatter of a bar. He asked if Leo could come get Caleb, who was apparently well past his limit. Leo glanced at the clock on his laptop. It was after 11. He told the man yes, confirming the address of the usual sleek downtown lounge. His roommate, headphones slung around his neck, remarked that Caleb worked him to the bone, calling at all hours. Leo just offered a weak smile and a comment about the generous pay as he grabbed his jacket. The private room was thick with the smell of expensive whiskey and fading bravado. Caleb was slumped over a dark wood table. His friends sprawled on leather couches in various states of intoxication. At the sound of the door opening, Caleb lifted his head, eyes struggling to focus on Leo. Leo called out his professional title, Mr. Thorne, his voice soft in the quiet room. In response to Leo's arrival, a man sitting beside Caleb stirred. He gently pushed Caleb upright before leaning in to whisper something in his ear. Leo had, over the course of 3 years, met nearly everyone in Caleb's circle, but this man was a stranger. Caleb offered the man a faint smile before rising and stumbling into Leo's arms. As Leo struggled to support his weight, the stranger stood and extended a hand, his smile smooth and practiced. He introduced himself as Julian. The atmosphere in the room shifted, the scattered attention of the other men suddenly coalescing on the two of them. It was only then that Leo got a clear look at Julian. He was striking, with a sharp jawline and clever eyes that held an assessing glint. A chilling certainty settled in Leo's gut. This had to be the Omega he'd once overheard Caleb talking about with such affection. His left hand, wrapped around Caleb's waist, tightened involuntarily. He managed to free his right hand for a brief, firm shake, stating his own name in return. He guided Caleb out of the room, and as the door clicked shut behind them, the muffled sound of laughter and conversation resumed. Distracted for a moment, Leo's foot faltered, and he pitched forward. Caleb, surprisingly quick, caught him by the waist, his voice a low growl telling him to be careful. Leo froze, a sudden, familiar heat radiating from Caleb's body. He realized with a sinking feeling that Caleb's rut was starting. Caleb nuzzled his head against Leo's neck, questioning who his boss was. Caleb suffered from a rare syndrome that made his ruts unpredictable and erased his memory of them afterward. And inexplicably, Leo, a beta with no pheromones to speak of, was the only one who could soothe him. This strange biological quirk was the foundation of their contract, the arrangement that was allowing Leo to pay off the mountain of debt his late father had left behind. In the back of the town car, Caleb was relentlessly attached, his mind clouded by the rut. He kept insisting he wasn't Leo's boss, but his husband. The driver, assuming they were engaged in some sort of role play, coughed and politely asked them to contain the pheromones, which he described as becoming overwhelming. Leo, mortified, tried to explain that it was a misunderstanding, that his boss was unwell and in the middle of an episode. He urged the driver to go faster. The response from the alpha losing his grip on reason was to sink his teeth into the side of Leo's neck. A sharp cry of pain was stifled in Leo's throat as the driver silently raised the privacy divider and accelerated. He practically fell out of the car when they arrived at Caleb's penthouse, his face slick with Caleb's saliva. The alpha in his rut was like an animal. Before Leo could even catch his breath, he was being pushed through the door and onto a sprawling white sofa. Caleb hovered over him, his eyes shining with a primal intensity, telling Leo how beautiful he was, how much he loved him. Leo knew it was the rut talking, the fever talking, but his heart still betrayed him with a painful lurch. A torrent of desperate, searing kisses followed. His wrists were bound above his head with Caleb's own silk tie. Caleb's voice was thick with need, asking if Leo loved him. When Leo hesitated, fat tears began to roll down Caleb's cheeks, landing hot on Leo's skin. He begged, his voice breaking, pleading for Leo to love him back. It was his greatest weakness. The sight of Caleb crying, even in this state, dismantled all of his defenses. He heard himself confessing his love, whispering that he loved Caleb most of all, words he only dared to speak when he knew they would be forgotten. The confession fueled Caleb's frenzy. He asked Leo to have his baby. Leo stared blankly at the ceiling, wondering if Caleb now saw him as Julian. He knew male betas couldn't conceive, but he placated him anyway, murmuring an agreement. Caleb, delighted, kissed the tears from the corners of his eyes. The chaotic week finally drew to a close. On the morning of the 7th day, Leo was too exhausted to move. The fever had broken, and Caleb lay sleeping peacefully beside him. Staring at his handsome profile, Leo was overcome by a foolish impulse. He whispered Caleb's name, asking if he could say he loved him one more time. Caleb's eyes snapped open, his brow furrowing as he sat up. The haze of the rut was gone, replaced by his usual sharp clarity. He asked what Leo had just said. Realizing his mistake, Leo's lips felt dry. He reverted to his professional demeanor, reporting that Caleb had gotten drunk a week ago and had gone into his rut as Leo was bringing him home. Caleb rubbed his temples, his tone once again distant. He expressed his frustration with his condition and thanked Leo for his trouble, asking if he was feeling all right. Leo assured him he was fine. In the beginning, their arrangement had been physically difficult for him, but after 3 years, Caleb had become a surprisingly considerate lover, even in his delirium. They both found release. He reached for his phone on the nightstand, plugging it in. As it powered on, a cascade of notifications filled the screen. Leo couldn't help but glance over, his eyes catching one name before he looked away: Julian. He quickly began to dress, announcing his intention to return to campus. Caleb, without looking up from his phone, stopped him. He told Leo to stay, as he was expected to join him for dinner with Julian that evening. Leo's knuckles turned white as he clenched his fists. The contract stipulated he was to help Caleb through his ruts. It said nothing about entertaining his boss's love interests. He wondered if this was Caleb's way of getting Julian's approval for their unconventional therapeutic arrangement. He asked quietly if he could be excused, using his studies as an excuse. Caleb looked up and softened his tone, stroking Leo's hair as one would a compliant pet. He told him to be good, acknowledging that Leo disliked such events but promising it would be just this once. With the dinner scheduled for the evening, Leo decided to spend the afternoon studying. Caleb lent him his laptop, but with Caleb watching him from across the room, the words from the online lecture refused to enter his brain. He finally asked if Caleb could please stop staring at him. Caleb countered by asking if he wasn't allowed to look at him. Flustered, Leo was about to say more when Caleb's gaze fixed on his neck. His expression changed. He announced it was time to go, adding that he would help Leo cover the marks on his neck. Leo's hands clenched again. A dark, possessive thought had taken root in his mind, that no matter how much Caleb liked Julian, it was Leo he couldn't live without. But Caleb's casual intention to hide the evidence of their week together for Julian's benefit shattered that bitter fantasy. At the restaurant, Julian arrived just moments after them. As he took his seat opposite them, he subtly waved a hand in front of his nose, as if bothered by an unpleasant smell, before composing his features into a mask of polite elegance. He greeted Leo, thanking him with a hint of irony for taking care of Caleb. Leo feigned ignorance of the sarcasm and passed over the gift box Caleb had prepared. Julian opened it, a genuine smile gracing his lips as he saw the expensive watch inside. He commented on Caleb's thoughtfulness. The meal was an ordeal. Their conversation revolved around business mergers and investment strategies, a world entirely foreign to Leo. He focused on his plate, acutely aware of the chasm between their lives. He could never stand beside Caleb in the light of day. Even if their contract ended, in the presence of someone who was truly Caleb's equal, Leo's own insecurities would be laid bare. At some point, Julian turned his attention to him, asking about his plans after graduation, assuming he would go to work for Caleb's company. Leo stated his intention to go to graduate school. Julian nodded, seeming pleased by this news, perhaps because it meant Leo planned to remove himself from the picture. As the dinner concluded and Julian was about to leave, Caleb's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and asked Leo to see Julian out while he took the call. At the curb, waiting for his car, Julian told Leo that he'd wanted that specific watch for a long time and that he loved it. He thanked him for the gift. A sour feeling, like acid, filled Leo's chest. He forced a smile, saying he was glad Julian liked it. When he returned to the table, Caleb was still on the phone, his back to the door. Leo heard him reassuring his mother, telling her Julian surely approved, that the doctors said his condition would be cured soon. He told her not to worry, that he only loved him. Before, Leo had held onto a sliver of hope. Perhaps Julian was just an old friend or part of a business alliance. But hearing those words, he could no longer deceive himself. Caleb felt nothing for him. Caleb hung up and turned, noticing Leo's pale face. He asked if he was feeling unwell, reaching for his wrist. Leo pulled away, making a quick excuse about a forgotten assignment and fleeing the restaurant. Back in his dorm, he crawled into bed and buried his face in his pillow. He pulled out his phone, navigating to the graduate school admissions page. His finger hovered over the application for a university on the West Coast, thousands of miles away. After a long moment, he clicked confirm and, staring at the screen, drifted into an uneasy sleep. He dreamed of a fight they'd had 3 months prior. Caleb had asked about his future plans, and Leo had told him he wanted to continue his studies. Their 3-year contract was nearing its end, and he had no desire to remain dependent on Caleb. The money he'd been paid had long since cleared his family's debts. Caleb's mood had soured instantly. He had insisted Leo come work for him, arguing it was the most logical path. Leo couldn't tell him the truth, that in their secret, transactional relationship, he had foolishly fallen in love and had dreamed of pursuing Caleb for real once the contract was over. Caleb had become agitated, declaring that the contract was not over yet, and Leo had to listen to him. One moment he was angry and rational. The next, his arms were wrapped tightly around Leo, his body burning with the onset of a rut. He had begged Leo not to leave him. Leo had asked him who his wife was. And Caleb, between ragged breaths, had said Leo's name, clear as day. That single moment had given Leo the courage to believe that maybe, in the depths of his subconscious, there was a small space reserved for him. He remembered Caleb's fevered compliments, praising his body, his touch. He had called him a pervert, and Caleb had licked his palm, whispering that if Leo ever left, he would hunt him down and drag him back. His tear-streaked threats had seemed so empty then, but Leo had asked if he really meant it. The dream dissolved into a chaos of sensation, ending with the memory of Caleb's words to his mother on the phone. Once he was cured, he would marry Julian. The nightmare jolted him awake. Since that dinner, Caleb hadn't called. Normally, an alpha's rut was a monthly occurrence. Caleb's condition made his more frequent. Leo tried not to dwell on how Caleb might have managed the last 3 months without him. Shoving down the bitter feeling, he got out of bed. His roommate pointed to a pair of shopping bags on the floor, explaining that his boss had stopped by. He told Caleb that Leo was asleep. The roommate commented that for a guy who worked him so hard, he seemed to care, and that half the betas in their building were asking for his number. Leo's hand clenched. He told his roommate Caleb was already in love with someone. He opened his phone to a text from Caleb. He'd bought him a couple of scarves and a pair of gloves, saying he'd seen them while out and thought of him. He told him to stay warm. Leo pulled one of the scarves from the bag. His roommate whistled, recognizing the brand and its 4-figure price tag. Leo's heart, which had briefly lifted, sank again. It was the same luxury brand as the watch he'd given Julian. A consolation prize, picked up while shopping for the real object of his affection. He texted back a simple thank you and stuffed the bags into the back of his closet. The semester passed in a blur of intense studying. The day of his graduate school entrance exam came and went. Walking out of the testing center, his mind still replaying questions, he collided with a solid, familiar chest. He looked up into Caleb's eyes. Caleb was there, holding a camel-colored scarf, which he proceeded to wrap carefully around Leo's neck. He gently chided him for not dressing warmly enough. Leo looked down, feeling a pang of guilt. He had been avoiding Caleb for weeks, lying that he was applying to a local university. He muttered an excuse about the cold keeping his mind sharp. Caleb adjusted the hood of his coat, his voice soft as he reminded him to take care of his health, recalling how prone Leo was to winter fevers. After a moment of hesitation, Leo asked how his treatment was going. A rare, genuine smile touched Caleb's lips. He said the doctor believed a cure was close. Leo's breath hitched. He wanted Caleb to be well, to be normal, but the thought of him being cured and marrying Julian was suffocating. He managed to choke out his congratulations. Caleb added that the doctor suggested a 2-week intensive, inpatient treatment would speed up the process. He asked for Leo's opinion. Leo struggled to speak, eventually agreeing it sounded like a good idea if he wanted a quick recovery. Caleb patted his hooded head, confirming that he did want to get it over with sooner rather than later. He was that eager to marry Julian. Leo forced the brightest smile he could muster, wishing him a speedy recovery. A week later, news came that he had passed the first round of admissions. While his roommate lamented his own failure, Leo was already packing. He was leaving today, heading straight for Seattle. If he passed the final interview, he would stay for school. If not, he would find a job there. He packed 2 suitcases, his eyes falling on the designer bags still shoved in his closet. He hesitated, then decided to take them. They were worth a lot of money after all. After packing, he blocked Caleb on every platform. He told his roommate that if his boss came looking for him, to say he had left for school, that his contract was fulfilled, and to tell him not to follow. In Seattle, he rented a room and focused on preparing for his final interview. It went well. He was accepted and assigned to a second-year student mentor named Alex. Alex was warm and friendly, giving him a tour of the campus. He mentioned that Leo was the first beta in their research group, as pheromone studies usually attracted alphas and omegas. Before Leo could answer why he'd chosen the field, Alex leaned in closer, sniffing the air near his neck. He remarked on the faint scent of an alpha, something like red wine, and asked if Leo had an alpha partner. Leo recoiled. It had been over 2 weeks. He thought the scent would have faded. Alex saw his reaction and gave him a knowing look. Flustered, Leo tried to backpedal, claiming it was just an alpha friend. Alex grinned, questioning what kind of friendly activity would leave a scent that potent for weeks. Feeling trapped, Leo changed the subject, turning it into a hypothetical research question. He asked why a beta might be able to soothe an alpha's rut. Alex considered this. He explained that recent research suggested betas weren't entirely without glands or pheromones. Theirs were just undeveloped and deeply recessed. He offered to send Leo some papers on the rare cases that had been documented. The simple takeaway, Alex concluded, was that Leo and his friend were essentially a perfect biological match. Perfect match. He once thought so too, that it was fate. He remembered the winter 3 years ago when everything fell apart. His gambling father was found dead in an alley. His mother took her own life, and he was left with their crippling debt. The world had collapsed. He took every job he could find: dishwasher, tutor, delivery boy, but it was never enough. Then he saw a neon sign outside a club, high-paying positions for omegas. He knew what it meant. Feverish and desperate, he bought a cheap pheromone counterfeit and walked in. He regretted it instantly. He was lined up with other omegas, all of them dressed in flimsy clothes in the dead of winter, displayed like merchandise. He prayed no one would pick him, but a greasy-looking man pointed his way and ordered him to pour a drink. As the man's hand crept onto his thigh, Leo's hand shook, spilling the liquor. Just as the man began to yell, the door opened and Caleb Thorne walked in. The atmosphere changed. The man's demeanor switched to fawning as he greeted Caleb. As Leo tried to slip away, a commotion broke out. Caleb strode past the man, straight towards Leo, and wrapped him in a powerful embrace. Everyone froze. The greasy man, trying to curry favor, told Caleb that this omega had been chosen especially for him. Caleb's assistant quickly cleared the room and administered an inhibitor shot. As the alpha's grip on him loosened, Leo tried to escape, but Caleb caught the hem of his shirt, his voice raspy, begging him not to go. That night began their 3-year contract. Leo's presence for Caleb's money. At first, he was terrified. But the Caleb in his rut was a different person from the cold, professional man he was during the day. He was affectionate, needy, and would cling to Leo after, his warmth a comfort against the cold. And he would cry, his vulnerability disarming Leo completely. He began to fall. He used the title boss as a shield, a way to maintain distance, but it was useless. Sometimes Caleb's friends would jokingly call him their sister-in-law, and Caleb never corrected them. It was Julian's appearance that finally showed him that a joke was just a joke. Life before the new semester was quiet. Leo spent his days reading the articles Alex sent him. He learned that the biological connection between some alphas and betas was real, a deep-seated compatibility that transcended overt pheromones, creating a physiological dependency. He slammed his laptop shut, frustrated, and threw himself onto his small bed. Just then, his phone buzzed with a string of frantic messages from his old roommate, telling him to hide, that something terrifying was happening. Before Leo could ask what he meant, there was a loud knock on his apartment door. He opened it a crack, but it was shoved open with force. A familiar pair of arms wrapped around his waist, pulling him into a hard embrace. A desperate voice asked why he'd abandoned him. It was Caleb. Leo tried to push him away, but the grip was iron. It had been nearly a month. His treatment should have been over. Leo touched his forehead. It wasn't hot. Annoyance flared through him. He kicked Caleb hard in the knee, demanding to know what he was doing, acting like this when he wasn't even in a rut. The blow sent Caleb stumbling to the floor. And then, to Leo's astonishment, he just sat there, looking up at him with wounded eyes. He asked why Leo had left. He explained that the treatment had taken longer and been harder because Leo wasn't there. He had to get through it clutching the clothes Leo had left behind. He said he'd come looking for him the moment he was released. He asked what he'd done wrong to make him so angry. Seeing him there, so lost and vulnerable, Leo was stunned into silence. Caleb looked up, his eyes wet, and delivered the final blow. His memory of the ruts was back now. He remembered everything. A hot flush of shame washed over Leo as he recalled all the things he'd said, all the things they'd done. He couldn't believe Caleb could speak of it so calmly. He managed to regain his composure, his voice cold as he reminded Caleb that their contract was over. He asked what he was doing here. Caleb stood up, his tall frame casting a shadow over Leo. He said he was there to ask him to marry him. Leo felt as if he'd been struck by lightning. He stared, speechless. Caleb took another step forward, his alpha presence filling the small space. He asked if he could court him. Leo instinctively stepped back, his mind reeling. He stammered something about Julian. Caleb just looked confused, asking what Julian had to do with anything. Leo stated what he believed to be the obvious truth, that Caleb was in love with him. Caleb's expression was one of genuine bewilderment. He asked why on earth he would be in love with Julian. He was his cousin. Before Leo could process this revelation, another knock came at the door. It was Alex, there for their scheduled meeting. A strange guilt washed over Leo as he shoved the bewildered Caleb into his bedroom and opened the door. The moment Alex stepped inside, he wrinkled his nose. He said Leo's alpha must be visiting, remarking on the overpowering scent in the apartment. He explained that alphas use pheromones to signal possession, and that Leo currently smelled like he'd been soaked in red wine. It was a bit sharp. Suddenly, Leo remembered Julian waving a hand in front of his face at the restaurant. It wasn't disdain he was reacting to. It was Caleb's scent, all over Leo. He had completely misread the situation. But still, Caleb had told his mother he was going to marry him. After a distracted meeting, Leo saw Alex out. The moment the door closed, Caleb emerged from the bedroom, holding out his phone. On the screen was Julian's face in a video call. He looked exasperated. He explained that Caleb's parents had been hesitant about Leo, so they had sent him to meet him as a test. Julian admitted he'd been biased at first, but after meeting Leo, he'd realized Leo was the better man, and that Caleb was lucky. The call ended, leaving a stunned silence. Caleb's eyes were bright with hope. He asked if Leo had been jealous because he liked him, too. Leo's world had been turned upside down. Caleb's eyes then fell on the scarf hanging on a coat rack. He recognized it as the one he'd given him, noting that Leo had kept it. He explained that Julian, being an Omega, had a better sense for things like comfort and quality, and had recommended the brand. Leo numbly pushed Caleb towards the door, saying he needed time to think. Caleb paused, his eyes serious, promising that he would keep pursuing him, no matter his answer. Alone on his couch, Leo tried to piece together the last 3 years. Was Caleb's affection real, or just a byproduct of their biological dependency, a phantom emotion born from the cure? Memories flooded his mind, a chaotic mix of tenderness and misunderstanding. He didn't sleep. The next morning, scrolling through his phone, an interview with Caleb popped up on a financial news channel. He looked impeccable in a tailored suit. The host veered off topic, asking about his marriage plans. Caleb's answer was calm and clear. He said he wanted to raise a baby. Leo's heart seized. He shut off the phone. A liar. He wanted a child all along. The words he'd spoken during his rut weren't delirious nonsense. They were the truth. Tears pricked his eyes. He dialed Caleb's number. Caleb answered almost immediately, his voice filled with anticipation. Leo, trying to keep his own voice steady, told him to come over. A minute later, Caleb was at his door, breathless and worried. Leo stopped him before he could speak. He needed an answer. He stated that Caleb knew betas couldn't have children, and that he would never undergo surgery for anyone. So why pursue him, why say he loved him, when an omega was a more suitable choice? A look of confusion crossed Caleb's face. He seemed genuinely perplexed by the mention of a baby. Leo had to remind him of what he'd said during that drunken rut. A dark blush crept up Caleb's neck. He mumbled that it was just some dirty talk, nothing more. Then his eyes drifted guiltily towards Leo's flat stomach, and he admitted that, in that moment, he had thought Leo's belly looked like he was pregnant. Leo's face was now even redder than Caleb's. His angry interrogation lost all its steam. He countered that Caleb had said on television that he wanted a baby. Caleb paused, then pulled out his phone and found the interview clip. In the und version, after the host's question, Caleb looked at the camera and said that if he were to marry, he would treat his spouse like a baby. As he said it, a soft, private smile touched his lips. Leo's face burned. It was just a selectively misleading headline. Caleb's voice was gentle. The baby he was referring to was Leo. He said Leo reminded him of a cute rabbit. He swore that having a child didn't matter to him. His family had plenty of heirs. The only person who mattered was Leo. Leo turned away, embarrassed, and told him to come inside instead of standing in the hallway. As Caleb closed the door behind them, he sighed, asking with a hint of amusement if Leo had really spent all this time thinking he was in love with omegas and desperate for children. It was true, but he was glad that, for once, instead of running, he had stayed to find out the truth. He quietly admitted that he liked him, too. Caleb's face lit up with pure joy as he pulled him into a kiss, as passionate as the ones in his ruts, but tempered now with a gentle reverence. After months of running in circles, the shy rabbit and the stubborn dog had finally found their way to each other. The doctor told me that Leo could alleviate my symptoms and suggested he stay with me during my ruts. I was initially against using money to exploit a student, but my investigation revealed he was in dire need. I admit I felt pity for him. After the first rut, I woke up to find him huddled in a corner of the bed, wrapped in a blanket, watching me like a frightened rabbit. He was covered in my pheromones. Though I didn't know what I'd done, a primal sense of satisfaction washed over me. I suddenly had an urgent desire to recover my memories. I also, with a touch of malice, didn't tell him that he smelled entirely of me. Being a beta surrounded mostly by other betas, he never noticed. Slowly, I found myself thinking about him constantly. My doctor explained that while betas might not have overt pheromones, attraction and compatibility ran deeper than scent. In short, I was falling in love with him. This was a problem. Our contract was for 3 years, and he always maintained a polite, professional distance, calling me Mr. Thorne. Even my friends noticed and started teasing him, calling him my wife. I watched his reactions closely. He never seemed to hate it. Maybe there was a chance. So I tested the waters, suggesting he come work for my company. The look of revulsion on his face was my answer. He was planning to leave the second the contract was up. Couldn't allow that. Inexperienced in love, I sought advice from my family. My mother was skeptical, pointing out the vast differences in our lives. Since she was abroad, she sent my cousin, Julian, to meet him. I assured her that Julian would approve. I told her that once I was cured, I would marry him. But after that, Leo seemed to grow even colder. I couldn't figure it out, so I went drinking with my friends. They cooked up a plan to get me drunk so Leo would have to take care of me. It backfired spectacularly. Afterwards, he barely let me touch him. Later, I excitedly told him my condition was curable, that I'd be able to remember our time together during the ruts. The smile he gave me was so forced. Did he hate me that much? Did he not want me to remember? After much thought, I decided to just confess my feelings directly. But his phone wouldn't connect. His messenger profile was gone. I rushed to his dorm, frantic. His bed was stripped bare. His roommate was just sitting there, playing a video game. My rabbit had run. Panic set in. I went back to the doctor and demanded he help me recover my memories immediately. He explained that the standard procedure required Leo's assistance. Without him, it would be slower and much more painful. For nearly a month, through agonizing sessions of therapy, the memories slowly returned, every detail of those ruts flooding my mind. And with them came absolute certainty. Leo had feelings for me. I had to get him back. I had to catch my rabbit.